Some people never live. They're just alive until they die. In this video, we'll be breaking down how one individual ends up losing at the game of life, so you can learn how to not make the same mistakes. We're not holding back here, so watch until the end. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. 40% of people are completely unhappy with their lives, and up to 70% feel stuck in a routine and that their lives are not improving. Yeah, sure, we know that life in America and the West in general keeps getting more miserable. According to the latest data from the General Social Survey, it's one of the longest running and most highly regarded public opinion research projects in the nation. But this video is not about happiness. It's about what it means to live a life worth living. You might not realize it, but there is a subsection of the population that's completely losing at life. So how does one define what losing at life actually is? And what are the indicators that you should pay attention to? Well, if winning would mean getting what you want in life, losing means the opposite. These are people who are miserable in their choices, those who regret their actions and don't see tomorrow being any better than today. One of the fundamental reasons why people end up in these situations is because they sacrifice the long term for the short term. These people constantly live in the moment. These are the YOLO people. The present is the only beast that needs feeding. YOLO too often, and tomorrow will be worse than today. Their entire philosophy is, instead of being long-term happy later, I want to be happy now. And although it doesn't sound dangerous at first, the price of sacrificing the future is always higher than sacrificing the present. Please remember this. The sacrifice will exponentially appreciate as you move down the spectrum. People struggling with addiction want momentary happiness and disregard the damage they'll do long-term to either themselves or those they care about. That's when addiction takes your life away from you one piece at a time. Very few things can ruin someone's life as quickly as losing control over it. And although this might sound like common sense, we've got data to show otherwise. A palliative care nurse asked every one of her patients on their deathbed what are their biggest regrets in their lives. And guess which one was at the top of their list? More sex? Nah. More money? Nope. I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life that others expected of me. That's what dying people regret the most, and the shocking part is, it was common among all of them. Building a life based on other people's expectations at the expense of your own is a sure way to end up regretting and losing at the game of life. Your true identity is stripped away from you as you struggle to fit into a cookie-cutter shape that others have picked for you. Yet you do it and you stick to it out of fear. You hate all of it. You despise life. It doesn't feel right, but you don't do anything about it. When other people are in charge of your destiny, your life is no longer yours. The controller to the game you call life is in their hands, and although they mean well, they have little to no skin in this game. If you've been through the 7-day free Alux experience on the Alux app, you know the most important decision you have to make in life is where you live. It determines who you'll hang out with, who you'll probably marry, your finances, and even your ideology. Now, imagine someone chains you and puts you in a geographical cage. That someone might even be yourself. Is a bird in a cage living the life it should? Well, it's kept alive and safe, but is it living? Is it soaring the skies and exploring the world, living out its purpose the way that nature intended? No. And we do the same to ourselves. We build cages because we're afraid of what's outside of those cage walls, not realizing that we've imprisoned ourselves in the process. Fear is dangerous. Your decision to not move takes away from your life. It might not be that bad for everyone, for we all know people who live decent lives around their birthplace. But they'll never experience the thrill and the growth that happens once you take charge of your life and realize just how much you can thrive when you're not being held back. This flows into a series of limiting choices that each one follows suit like domino pieces. You will lose at life if you choose the wrong partner. This is your friend, your partner, your confidant, and the person you will build a family with. Screw this up, and you're destined to a life of misery or an impending divorce. The boomer generation is peak divorce season. But many parts of the world are a lot more religious or do not have the same level of freedom or access to proper legal representation. So they stick around in unfulfilling marriages, where the partners just make each other miserable. The next stage of misery is having children with someone you don't like. This can happen by mistake if you're young or uneducated. Or you could try to save a marriage that's not working by bringing a kid into the mix. Both horrible plays. You would think people would choose their life partners more carefully, but no. And here's the truth. Most people settle for what's convenient, not for what is good. Because convenience is easy, right? But convenience is a trap. You worry about things you can't control, causing you anxiety, but become paralyzed when it's time to take the action you know will improve your life. So you're defaulting to what is safe and convenient. It's easier to eat a bag of chips than to make yourself a salad. It's easier to stick with a miserable job rather than to quit, because at least the misery is familiar. That's how you see people lose their soul. You lose at life when you work a job you hate until retirement. A job that's not fulfilling, that barely pays enough for you to pay the bills and keep going for another month. At the start of 2022, 64% of the US population was living paycheck to paycheck. That's 2 out of 3 people. How are they supposed to explore and find out who they are, what their passions are, if they can never leave the financial cage they find themselves in? We agree that the structures in place are not conducive to a great life for everyone, but you would expect the ratio to be flipped. You lose at life if you do not solve money. Worrying about money is by far one of the biggest limiting factors in our existence. Money is such a big part of staying alive that some people legally enslave themselves through debt and to these companies that are converting their lives into money. Solving the money game is one of life's biggest cheat codes. You might not realize this, but most people live a life of consumption, not of creation. They're just consuming, so they need to earn money to consume more, thus trapping themselves. Here's the absolute truth to the game of life. You will lose at life if you never get at least a 5 out of 10 in all 5 pillars of existence: financial, relationships, intellect, health, and emotions. These 5 are all interlocked. Ignore any one of these 5 and your life will crumble. It doesn't matter if you're a billionaire if you've got health problems and can't enjoy the money. It doesn't matter how smart you are if you're starving in a cave. It doesn't matter how jacked you are if you're unable to have a productive relationship, and so on. Those who lose the game of life never have anything of true value. This ranges from material value to emotional and spiritual value. The more of it you earn for yourself, the more freedom you enjoy. How are you supposed to feel free when you're bottling up your emotions and feelings? How are you supposed to feel free if you're living a dishonest life? You see, Aluxers, every lie we tell incurs a debt to the truth, and sooner or later, that debt has to be repaid. Every emotion you bottle up at some point will leak out and spill onto the other parts of your life. Some of you know damn well how true that is. Life is a buffet of adventures, sights, tastes, and people. Act like it. You lose at life if you do not fulfill your bucket list. Deep down, everyone has a bucket list. Poor is the person who never travels the world. Poor is the person who never meets people with similar interests and spends their life hidden away from the world. You lose at life if every day is the same. If every day looks like every other day, you're not living multiple days. You're actually living the same day over and over again, and then you die. You lose at life if you end up living a life of regret. For all we know, this is the only shot you get to enjoy all the blessings of the world. So reach out for that apple tree and get your apple. You lose at life if you never get to a health stage where you're proud of your body and feel healthy. Socrates figured this out 2,500 years ago when he said, "It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable." You lose at life if you never take any risk. You only play it safe. Playing it safe is just a slower way to misery. Although you might survive in an unhappy marriage, you lose at life if you ruin your relationship with your children. You will feel it in your gut for as long as you live, and it's usually pride that keeps the flame of despair alive. But you know damn well that pride is the devil. But there's an even more vile way to go about your relationship with your children, in which you drain them of their own existence for your benefit. There are some parents out there which will sacrifice the lives of their children to maintain a level of emotional comfort for themselves. These people have it twisted. We know how this is about to sound, but pay attention because it's the truth. You will lose at life if you sacrifice your life to take full-time care of your parents. They need care, they need protection, but not at the expense of your entire existence. The goal of a parent is to raise strong children that can live their own lives. If you have a parasitic relationship, you fail both as a parent and as a child. These are all pieces of the puzzle, and it's not too late to take note of them. You're probably lucky. Probably very few of these apply to you, but we're certain that at least some of them brushed a little too close to home. You, the one watching this video right now or listening to the podcast, are playing a version of the game of life that's unique to you. We want you to win it. We have an entire video on how to win at the game of life, which is a mandatory watch after this one. We'll link to it in the description and the top comment. It'll give you a game plan for the rest of your life, and in combination with this wake-up call of a video, it'll be the most valuable time investment you'll make today, so go watch it. But before you go, we want to ask you a brutally honest question. From 1 to 10, how well are you doing in life? Where 1 is a complete failure and 10 is an absolute win. How many of you have taken the time to actually provide an honest answer? Let's see in the comments. And as for those of you still watching, by now it's obvious that we've saved a really great bonus. We used to measure everything in our life with the purpose of improvement, but that's where it gets kind of tricky. The most important part is what you measure. Here's one metric that will guide you for the rest of your life. Measure life based on how many lives you have improved. The more we grow, the more we mature, the more we end up realizing that the only way to really win the game of life is to maximize the positive impact that you have on the lives of others. Yes, it starts with yourself. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. But it's not enough to be well on your own. We said it once, and we'll say it again. If it's lonely at the top, it's because you didn't bring enough people with you. If you're able to climb out of the hole, we believe it's your responsibility to help others get out as well. Show them the way. Give them the truth. That will separate those who really want it from those who simply wish it. You won't be able to help everybody, but those who have the ears to listen will hear what you really say and do what they see you do. That's where Alux shines. It's you and people like you. The few of you who come here with the purpose of honest growth and leave ego at the door. We see you in the comments, the emails and the DMs we receive from you. We're proud of you and the incredible progress that you're making. You know who you are. So focus. The game is not over. You're playing the long game. If this video added any bit of value to your life, write +1 in the comments. We want to see how many people we can impact with these videos. Thank you for watching this video, Aluxer. If you found it valuable, consider subscribing to our channel and joining our awesome community. And if you're still hungry for more, we handpicked this video for you to watch next. Or head over to our website for more amazing content. See you tomorrow.